We are back now with more with Governor Lamont. In our early evening newscasts, we were talking about, we asked the voters to vote in a poll. How would you rate the state's response to the coronavirus crisis so far? Let's take a look at those results. And right now, 7 out of 10. Not a bad grade. Not perfect, but good. What would you improve upon, you think, in terms of the state's response?
I think we got out of the box early. I think we got out of the box when it came to big gatherings, schools certainly. We joined our fellow governors when it came to other gatherings and obviously bars and restaurants. I think if I was knocking me, I would have pushed the hospitals earlier and harder. I think maybe I relied a little bit too much on what the federal government was thinking about. I should have realized, look, when it comes to ventilators, when it comes to swabs, when it comes to protective gear, we better get better on our own to do this.
Listen, I have parents at home. I mean, kids at home. I'm a at-home parent during the day, and Kara, and many of you are out there, have your kids at home for a couple of weeks. They want to know, when do you think the schools will reopen in our state? There's been talk about March 31st. What do you think?
I doubt it.
Doubt it.
I think it'll probably take longer than that. Again, I look at what happened in China. Look, there is an end to this thing. China had no infections, yesterday.
Yes,
you could work through this, but it's not going to be done in a finite period of time. And a lot of the scientists that I talk to worry that we get back to normal too quickly, and we have a second run at this in the fall.
So March 31st, probably too early. You're thinking a month from now, maybe end of April, or do you think the whole year is gone?
Dennis, I don't know. I just don't know. I can tell you, I want to err on the side of caution.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, in terms of that quarantine. Do you foresee a situation like perhaps in Italy, where we might have to lock down the entire state and people won't be allowed to leave except for essentials?
Only if people can't do the common sense things now, which is why I reinforced in your first segment, I do it again. Stay home. If you have any opportunity to stay home, only the essential people go to work as needed, telecommute, and be with your kids.
As you know, Connecticut's economy has been struggling a little bit at times, although it does seem on the upswing. There are so many mom and pop restaurants and shops out there, nail salons, businesses, machine shops that say that they may not be able to recover from being shut down for a few weeks. What do you tell them tonight in terms of what the state can do and is doing to help them?
Well, look, for those small businesses, we talked to several thousand of them today. We are putting in place up front a bridge loan to help them get through, at least till the federal government is able to step in. Look, I come out of small business. I know what those fixed costs are. I know what it is to pay rent. I know what it is to pay salaries. I know what those utility bills are. We're doing something, I think, pretty clever. Keep that person on board. We're going to help complement or supplement their salary for the near term, so at least on a part-time basis. I want to do everything I can to help our small businesses power through this.
On the flip side, is there any silver lining for businesses or entrepreneurs at home right now watching this? Because there's been so much criticism of our reliance on China, that we get all of our medications from there, or much of them, and crucial ingredients to some of these medications that we need here in this country. Now we don't have them. Is there any opportunity for a Connecticut company or Connecticut companies to step in and start producing these items?
I think so. You look at the international supply chain, and those that were manufacturing a lot over in China, say 2 months ago, regretted it because all of a sudden they were not able to get what they needed. So I think we will probably rethink how we produce and make sure that more of our supply chain is right here. As you point out, same thing with pharmaceuticals, same thing with protective equipment. A lot of that is coming from China. Frankly, they're sending some of it to us now.
I think it's a wake-up call where they'll be like, well, we're going to make it here instead, rather than China.
Yeah, I hope that's the case.
We have another viewer question for you. We've received a number of questions, actually, about people who are incarcerated in Connecticut. And there was information about a prisoner at Rikers in New York being diagnosed. And Mary-Ann wants to know, do you think that they'll be letting out prisoners, low-level offenders, to sort of ease the coronavirus crisis? I know this is a question that's probably better suited for judicial, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Well, we've talked to Roland Cook. We've talked to our corrections team. Right now, they're swabbing and cleaning the prisons on a very regular basis, quote-unquote low level. We have got many fewer people in prison today than we had 10 years ago. So I think we've been already pretty cautiously letting people go. I don't think we're going to use the virus as one more reason to let people out.
I want to talk about jobs a little bit, because we have a viewer who just wrote in seconds ago, apparently, wanting to know about mortgage deferments. Does the state, Will the state take any role in terms of talking to banks and mortgage companies about perhaps doing something so that people who've lost their jobs can, get a breath here?
Yeah. Jimmy Stewart, It's a Wonderful Life. Come on, banks, you're part of the Connecticut family as well. And we need you to step up. And what do you want to foreclose on somebody or evict somebody and have an empty house because you had this one-off event called the coronavirus? I'm working with them. We're working with the utilities to make sure they don't shut off anybody, at least for the next 60 days. Trying to do the same thing with our insurance folks to make sure they provide health insurance throughout this tough period. We as a state are taking the lead. We're deferring tax obligations for 60 plus days, and we're going to make sure that folks who have Connecticut loans through DECD don't have to make a payment until after July 1st.
All right, Governor, we'll be back. We're going to take a short break once again. More with Governor Lamont in less than 2 minutes. And a little later in this hour, Senators Richard Blumenthal and Chris Murphy will give us some important updates on what's being done in Washington, some decisions being made to help you get through these challenging times. We'll bring it back.